Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about CSS Selector and how we use it to catch or to target our HTML elements. Please let's get started. So let me open my W3 schools. So we have resources online. We have W3 school. We have the MDN developer tools. You can Google it and you can see information about CSS, HTML, JavaScript, Python, any language you are interested in. So let's just briefly look at their definition. They said CSS selector are used to find or select CSS HTML element you want to style. And they gave us the various examples or types of CSS selector. We basically have four types. We have the element selector, the ID selector, the universal selector, and the class selector. So let's go to our Visual Studio Code and practicalize all these things. So this is my Visual Studio Code. Mind you, I've created my HTML file and I've added all this. This is the preview, so you can see what I've added. Over here, I wrote CSS selector, a pattern used to target our HTML elements so we can apply style to them. And we have the four basic type. We have the universal selector, the ID selector, the class selector, and the element selector. So let's get started. So for this video, I'll be making use of the internal styling. So remember, what I just need to do is to type the styling inside here. We've created the style tag. Now for the let's start with the universal selector. For this universal selector, we use asterisk. So it targets everything within our web page. So which property do we want to change? Let's change the background color. There's a property called background color. Good. So let's change it to this color brown. Good. We've changed the property to brown. What again do we want to? We can still target. There's another property called the font family. The font family. You can choose from the various font family we have here. They are very much. So let me just pick this. You can see the style has been applied. So that's just the universal selector. It targets everything within the HTML, within the body of the HTML. That's the universal selector. So again, we can use the net go to the next one, the element selector. Element selector has to do with HTML elements like the paragraph, the H1, the H2, the ordered list, the unordered list, and the rest of them. So let's just use the H1. H1, this is the element selector. Then what do you want to change? So this is the H1 CSS selector. Let's work on the background color. Let's make the background color. Let's make it white. White. Good. We've changed the background color to white. Let me change the color itself. There's difference between background color and the color. The color has to do with the color of the tag itself. This like this CSS selector. So let me change it to black. Good. I've changed it to black. Now this for the HTML element. So the next one, let's do the ID selector. So before we do the ID selector, remember I talked about attributes. That HTML element has attributes, and the attributes are written inside the opening tag. So now we can actually create our own attribute. We can create the ID as an attribute. We just type ID, then equal to, then we'll give it a particular name. I can just call it ID. That's it. But the good thing about ID is that it is unique. You can only have one element that has a ID name that is called ID. You can't have ID written all over various elements. So now to target this ID, what will I just do? I'll just use the ampersand, our ampersand, pound sign, sorry. Then you tag. So for this H1, okay, we've used H1 as this. Let's look for another element to implement this because we've already target H1 as a for element selector. So cut. Let's use the H2 and let's put it here. Good. H2. I've placed it there. So now let me tag it now the ampersand and the name of the ID. I called it ID. Then what do I want to change? What should we change? Okay, let's change the let's change the text align. Let's make it center. There's a property called text. Sorry, not text align. Good. Let's put it to center. Good. It will move it to the center. You can see what we've done. We've actually changed this property. So this is property, why this is the value. So now we've changed it to center, which I think is okay. So now let's again, should I leave the color? I think I want to just leave it as it is. So let's go to the last one called the class. So for the class, what we need to do, okay, let's use this paragraph now. Well, you can create the class selector by typing the word class as the attribute. Then we provide a value for it. So the value as let's what's the name of the attribute? What should we call the attribute name? Let's call it just class. Good. Simple. And we'll come over here dot class, then open it here. So this is the class. What should we change here? I think I want to I want to change the color. Okay, the color. So we'll allow the color to be which what should we let's change it to blue. Blue. Nope. I like this color. Tomato. Tomato is almost similar to this. Okay, this is just tomato color. The purpose of this course is just so we know how to just target our element. So this is just still the basics. So I've changed the color to tomato. I can still add another property called font size or width. Let me use style. I can make it can see the way it is. There are various properties. I can still add more fonts, font family. I can specifically tell which font family that I want to use. So I can choose this. You can see the browser has its own font family that is applied for everything, but I've specifically told instructed it that for this paragraph tag I want this font family to be this. So we can see how we can easily target our HTML using our CSS selector, the element selector, the class selector, and the ID selector, and finally the universal selector. Please, if you find this video informative, please endeavor to subscribe. See you in my next video. In my next video, we'll be looking more at the properties. So that this is what they call the properties. So that we'll talk more about the properties and the rest. So see you soon. Bye for now.